welcome back to the show. Look at that.
What
You're
do
smiling.
What do we do with these things? I don't get the.
I think you've been a little down because of the weather, and we just, you're not going to take an Ativan. Then
I'm not down, dude.
Okay.
The whole Trump cabinet is in office.
Yeah, you're happy.
Before Sam Altman came to his office and they were talking about like Stargate, it was like him talking to a reporter, and she had brought up the war, and she brought up the Ukraine war, and she's like, "Are you gonna you did a great job with the ceasefire? Are you gonna call for a ceasefire in Ukraine?" He goes, "First of all, the war would not have. I don't have a good Donald Trump impression. Yeah.
Just
first of all,
yeah,
the war would have never happened.
That's actually pretty good.
But he goes. First of all, the war would have never happened if we had a competent president, which we didn't. Which is why it's up to me now." And I was like,
"Yeah, that's his thing. That's his thing."
I just like people who say it as it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't know if that's true or not.
When was the last time Joe Biden even said something on camera?
That I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, just seeing him on camera talking to reporters, just on the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I hope that at least the people who listen to this, I'm always curious about like who the audiences are, because like we talk to some of you, but we don't talk to all of you.
Yeah. All 15.
All 15. Well, dude, slow down. Season 2. I think we have like 22 people.
20, 25. Yeah,
25 people.
It's getting up there.
But jokes aside, knowing that Jordan's going to cut that out.
Jokes aside, what do you call? We had over 10,000 listens in the first season.
Dude,
that's awesome.
You don't have to put our numbers
per
out
episode.
There. You don't have to put our big swinging numbers out there.
Okay. Well, let's keep things moving, because we were talking about Trump. Here's something that I just think is hilarious, but also awesome. Barron Trump. First off, did you know he's 6'9"?
Yeah. Have you seen the videos where they just keep making him bigger?
No.
there was the clip of him walking behind Donnie T and Melania.
Yeah.
Into the swearing-in ceremony, and because he looks so lanky, like he towers over them.
Yeah.
So now it's the latest meme trend where people just keep making a new video, and every time they make it, he's just bigger. So like they AI him to be like
huge giant,
just like 15 feet tall. I saw one today that was like just his foot walking behind Donnie T. And
6'9", that's LeBron 6'9". That's crazy to think about.
He is.
So the New York Post is reporting right now that he's going to start his own real estate company with a couple of friends.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he's following in Donnie T's footsteps.
Yeah.
What I really liked about the announcement is like he's focused on they don't get into any specifics, but they say Utah, Arizona, Idaho. Like he's going to launch Discovery Land Code 2.0, right? Like he's going to like Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Right. He's going to find the next like Jackson Hole, irreplaceable piece of land and put up luxury condos.
I mean, watch him just crush it. I don't know.
He is going to crush it.
He's
absolutely.
I think they actually like found the filings and him incorporating it, and then they took it down right before Trump was sworn in.
And he's got some partners in it, right? He's got like some family partners, which of course I love, and someone in there was a politician, which I found pretty funny. But I do kind of like the idea of a Barron Trump,
being a real estate baron.
I kind of like the idea of him going to like Yellowstone National Park and being like, "Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, can we take this one off the registry?"
Yeah, right.
He's like, "Imagine what the 50th floor would look like here." Yeah. But jokes aside, I hope he's crushing it in his NYU real estate classes.
Yeah, he's a freshman at NYU, which I just can't imagine.
What better education like on real estate than your dad being Donald Trump?
Yeah,
like,
well, I don't know how you can have a normal life as a freshman at NYU when your dad's
he was never going to have a normal life to begin with, right? And he's not the first rich kid.
That's true.
Or
you're right.
Or kid whose parents are like of notoriety to go to NYU, but. Like, what can your professor say to you that you don't actually have the answers to?
I don't know if he has the answers, but he definitely can go to people with the answers.
He's got the fucking...
I don't know, he's 18.
He's got the fucking answers. It's like being Macklow's son, right? Like, imagine like Harry Macklow was your dad, right? There's a guy like that in the city. And you grow up in that household, like just what the conversations are. You know more about business than your professor.
Without getting like too
anything.
deep here, I don't know how many conversations he had in his household. Like, his dad was president. Like, I mean, an older father.
The guy knows how to negotiate.
Can't imagine they like talked that much on a day-to-day basis.
Dude, what do you mean?
You're right. I don't know.
The kid knows how to negotiate. He definitely knows how to buy.
He definitely knows the art of the deal.
Yeah, definitely knows the art of the deal.
Yeah,
and he's about to unwind a fuck ton of Trump coin.
You know how when you're a kid, like your parents might say, like, "Hey, like you really need to read this book," like Rich Dad Poor Dad. A lot of parents are like,
we had a couple of those.
You got to read this. Do you think Trump makes Barron read The Art of the Deal? For sure, right?
Very funny that you say that. I just had a little bit of PTSD. I'm not going to name names, but I had worked for someone recently where every time somebody started, I joined to oversee the portfolio. So like in the typical acquisitions role, but everybody else who joined, doesn't matter if you were marketing, an accountant, everyone got The Art of the Deal from Trump, which is just so funny.
Yeah.
Like that was the book he gave out.
So I've never read it. But maybe there's a thing to learn there. He's
Jack,
doing something right.
You haven't read it, and it shows.
Yeah,
and it shows.
All right.
Let's
get into some serious? Yeah, let's get into some more stuff.
Let's get into it. You're like a news reporter. You're like a real news.
In another life, that would have been pretty cool. That's why I'm here.
Is this your Bushwick life?
This is like my
But we are hitting the ground running for 2025. I'm sorry for putting such a damper on your mood.
Oh, dude, I'm great.
But you know what's really putting a damper on my mood? The rates.
Yeah.
I'm losing sleep on the rates.
That 10-year is not coming down like everyone had hoped when the Fed started lowering those rates.
No, it hasn't. So it rose 100 bips. Rose 100 bips since the Fed began in September. It rose 65 bips overall for the course of 2024. Fed's projecting I think even more recently it might be down to 1, but don't quote me. 25 basis points cuts in 25. I did a little fun math. All right, bear with me on my math here. I wish we can do a whiteboard, right? Somebody put a whiteboard right here. So I was curious, right? Because we talk a lot about commercial, we touch on residential like tangentially, but on the residential front, I was looking at rates, right? And CRE Daily sends out the rates every morning in their newsletter. There's always like what the 30-year is doing, what resi mortgage rates are today. So both the rates are hanging around 7%, okay? And then I looked at the average salary, which has gone up. Wages have gone up in 24. And it seemed high. It said $65,470, but like I remember this number being in the 40s, like 5 or 6 years ago, but don't quote me. So if you take that 7%, and I didn't even run it amortizing, right? Because you're not getting an interest-only loan for 30 years on your house, right? So you're what they call the debt constant, your interest plus your amort. It's like closer to like your loan constant, right? It's probably closer to like 9%, but I left that out. I said, all right, just simple math. On the 7%, right? If you put down 15% in equity, right? And you take the rest out on this $404,500 house, right? Your monthly payments come out for the first time buyers. I did both. So the first time buyers put down only 8% in equity. On average, their monthly payments come out to $2,170 a month. That's 40% of gross income based on that $65,000 a year number, right? So you're spending 40% just interest only, right? So imagine how high it is, tack on another 2 points. If you're the repeat buyer who's putting down 20% of your equity, it's a bit under $2,000. It's $1,911 a month, right? Still 35% of gross income, right? Like when you go to apply for a rental in New York,
I mean, the average rent in New York is probably still hovering around what, $5,500? Something crazy.
Forget that it's elevated, right? Sure, I hear that, but like generally speaking, you're in the multifamily space, right? So you know this better. All of the REITs and indexes, what do they say? You shouldn't spend more than 30% of your income on rent. It's like general rule of thumb, right? So to think that these buyers are at 35 to 40%. It's creeping up.
Yeah. I've seen firsthand how the right platform can make all the difference for advisors and their clients. With decades of collective experience in investment sales, debt placement, and equity placement services, Graysteel has built a culture where collaboration, relationships, and excellence power results. Backed by concierge-level infrastructure, proprietary technology, and an entrepreneurial mindset, the firm enables professionals like myself and our team to deliver tailored solutions, precision-driven pricing strategies, AI-enhanced insights, and exceptional value at every stage. Discover how top professionals are scaling their business and continually unlocking new opportunities for their clients at graysteel.com.
Well,
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you're just going to keep renting.
You might keep renting. I think for me, the takeaway was how much of their income is getting thrown away on the home.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm going to get a swarm of messages saying, yeah, but you're building equity and you can borrow against your equity. Sure. That's great and all, right? You're spending a majority of your, mind you, that $65,000 number, that's gross income.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What is it on an adjusted basis, right? Move that down by 40%. So it's like in the 50s, mid 50s, right? That you're spending
Sure.
Out of your net income on actually trying to own a home. That coupled with consumer debt rising from last year, like I think we've been talking about what the end of the road is for a while, right? And it's really fun to fearmonger, and I think a lot of the news outlets, legacy media, does that really well. But like, credit card debt's up, GSEs might get privatized, which we'll talk about, but mortgage, you're now spending 40% of your gross income.
And with Trump, I mean, one of the reasons that, the 10 years kind of been spiking up is just kind of a fear that, maybe Trump's going to create a little bit more inflationary pressure on things, particularly with the tariffs, which we're going to talk about a little bit too.
Yeah.
So, it's not so easy. A lot of people that aren't in real estate might think, oh, the Fed's going to cut rates, so therefore my interest rates are going to go down. And it doesn't work that way, particularly in commercial real estate where you're tied to the
It doesn't work that way in the resi in resi real estate either, right? Like we got the cuts.
Yeah.
But the rates have still been 7%.
Yeah.
And we know that like home starts are up in some places, but the prices are definitely up.
Right.
The tariffs, which we could talk about also, just going to make materials more expensive.
Right.
Renters inevitably win, right? Like the rental owners rather. On a similar topic, you got the beige book. You were reading the Fed beige book as you do for leisure.
I do. It's a fun read.
That's your nighttime read. I've personally seen you read it. So what's happening? What's happening nationally?
There are a lot of people that they just live for that. They just, they probably get paid for it. So you told me earlier how you were a big fan of it. So go ahead.
Of what? Of the Fed beige book?
Yeah. Tell us what.
Sure. So Fed beige book for people who don't know, it's just anecdotal evidence, and it's kind of the same story, repetitive, but all of the federal banks kind of give a highlight of like what's happening in their metro, right? So it highlighted Boston, New York, Philly, Cleveland, Richmond, all the cities that you're dying to go to on an annual basis. And what did it tell us?
Well, I mean, there's a few different points, and I don't think we need to go through them all, but, Boston commercial real estate remained mostly flat, it said. Overall, industry contacts were cautiously optimistic. I mean, I think we're kind of seeing that a lot of places, not just Boston.
Yeah. Boston's a tough market. I know that they did do some...
there's a new law aimed at boosting multifamily construction.
Yeah, 177 of their communities now have to include a multifamily zone, whatever that means. But we're curious to see how that plays out. New York, not a shocker, right? They talk about Class A space, which I've been talking about for a while. This is no longer a secret. Like we've been chasing this for 2 years. I know myself and some other partners. Now proof's in the pudding. You've got, a couple of trades that have happened recently of these like super prime office spaces. Yeah. Rents are up.
So it's a good sign, right?
Yeah. And, it talked about construction not really heading on the same path that it used to. And that's going to be the topic everywhere, right?
Yeah, everywhere, particularly in the Sun Belts, as we all know. But you got Philadelphia where, activity fell slightly. There's a federally funded public infrastructure projects that were kind of a little delayed. But there's a slight increase in lending.
You're a big Philly fan.
Yeah.
You've got deep Philly roots.
My wife is from Philly, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And how's it been being married to someone
connected
to the worst?
It's the Eagles
fan
thing,
wars?
right?
Yeah.
It's the Eagles thing. It's
she's a big Eagles fan.
Yeah, you have to be if you're from Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's like the law, right?
Yep.
I remember your wife screaming like "Go Eagles, go!" And I was like, "It's 6 o'clock in the morning. We just
it's the first thing she says in the morning. Go, fly."
Yeah, it's really weird.
I think they say fly.
She needs to work on that.
Cleveland, a modest uptick in non-residential construction.
Yeah, this is kind of what I love about the Fed, right? It's all like this anecdotal evidence. It's all, it modestly ticked up. It was kind of flat.
Yeah, they don't.
There's no evidence.
They're kind of hedging a little bit. Like they don't want to just go all in and say Cleveland is the market to be in. It's crushing it. We expect 10% year over year rent increase. It's very.
Yeah, they're not going to say any of that.
Yeah.
And Richmond, kind of the same thing. I was interested. It was pretty interesting to see that they're saying buyers and sellers were really hustling to like get deals done before there's that many deals happening in Richmond.
Also, isn't that everywhere? I don't know. Like it's not Cleveland or Richmond specific.
So I'd love to hear what's happening in the hustling, bustling Richmond.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about another hustle and bustle market.
Sure.
North Dakota. Which, by the way, is called, did you know this? It's called the Peace Garden State. That's what they call it.
Why is that a ripoff of Jersey?
Right. They just throw peace in front of it.
Why do they
Jersey's not the peaceful state.
They're like, we're Jersey, but way calmer.
Yeah, we're much more chill.
Imagine how bad things have to be that you compare yourself to New Jersey.
What if it was that Jersey compared themselves to North Dakota and just said, you know what, we're going to take off the peace part.
I think Jersey got there first, dude.
I think you're probably right.
Also, Jersey was the garden state because it had farms. Does North Dakota have farms?
For sure. Well, it's got oil. I know that.
That's very different.
Yeah,
that's really different.
I'm sure it's got a lot of farms. Come on.
But what's happening in North Dakota?
Well, so they're really trying to get rid of real estate taxes as much as they can. Governor Kelly Armstrong unveiled a plan that aims just to eliminate property taxes for most homeowners within a decade. They can kind of help pay for that because, and I didn't know this, but North Dakota is
pay for what?
Pay for just the makeup, just making up for the lack of revenue that they would be, losing if they didn't have property taxes coming in like they once did, because they're the number 3 oil producer in the country, which I just
imagine comparing yourself to Jersey and then not even being number 1 in something.
Yeah, I mean number 3, I had no idea.
But you're talking about number. All right, so they produce oil, but does the state they tax that?
They do.
Some
yeah. So they have big coffers for that.
That's pretty interesting, also, because they're kind of a tax haven for some of the wealthier families. This is not a secret, and I'm for our young analyst listeners. One day, I hope you guys all make it to be MDs and whatever else of your firm, and you get to flex about your taxes. I think that
they do.
That's a really if you really want to flex, stop throwing investment bankers used to just throw their bonus at a used Rolex, or now maybe their bonuses are a little better. They could get a brand new Rolex, right? You get your Submariner and you walk around like you're the man. But instead of doing that, instead of spending $1,100 on some Loro Piana shoes or a scarf, to show your boss. Talk about how bad your tax burden is.
Yeah. Talk about how much you're offsetting your taxes by all these.
No, anybody could do that. But you want to, oh my God, dude, I lost, government took so much money from me.
What are they doing with it even?
I lost so much money last year. Oh my God, dude, taxes. Oh, my taxes are insane.
See, I get the flex a lot from some clients that just like to tell me that they paid almost no taxes. And that's what just gets me, because I'm like, man, I'm paying more than you are. And some of these guys, they're crushing.
I feel like saying that you didn't pay taxes, that's like you talking about you getting something really nice on sale.
Yeah,
right?
No, I don't think so.
If you did get that watch and the watch costs $50,000, I want to believe that you paid $50,000.
I think someone who makes a lot of money saying that they paid almost no taxes is a flex in them saying, hey, I'm so smart. I know how to offset my taxes and my income by so much.
I have one caveat.
I have one
caveat to that. The only way that would be a flex for me is if you're like, dude, I got so much depreciation.
Yeah.
I got to take so much
That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And we'll talk about it on another episode, but just kind of about the bonus depreciation. And
sure. But we were talking about
Trump's helped with.
We were talking about them being a tax haven.
Yeah.
So there's no inheritance tax, which obviously a big deal for being able to pass your state.
So you can just move there and then you're good.
They have very good homestead exemption laws.
Okay.
So it's, kind of a homesteading thing like people do with places like Puerto Rico or Florida, right?
Sure.
You spend your 51% of your time out there. So very beneficial.
Okay.
So not only are they going to not only do they have no inheritance tax, but they're going to cut out property taxes.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens with
So I guess we're homesteading North Dakota.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think, so maybe now the new flex is like, dude, I just, I live in North Dakota half the year. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah. It's not Florida anymore. It's North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Yeah.
If somebody said that, I'd be like, what the fuck? What do you grow corn?
When we come back, we're going to talk about South Dakota, North Dakota's neighbor, and Omar Khan's going to come on from Boardwalk Wealth. And so he's going to come on and he's going to talk to us about what he's working on in South Dakota. I've seen firsthand how the right platform can make all the difference for advisors and their clients. With decades of collective experience in investment sales, debt placement, and equity placement services, Graysteel has built a culture where collaboration, relationships, and excellence power results. Backed by concierge-level infrastructure, proprietary technology, and an entrepreneurial mindset, the firm enables professionals like myself and our team to deliver tailored solutions, precision-driven pricing strategies, AI-enhanced insights, and exceptional value at every stage. Discover how top professionals are scaling their business and continually unlocking new opportunities for their clients at graysteel.com. Let's take a step back and tell us exactly what it is you do, how you got into it, and then let's dive into kind of what you're seeing right now and where the opportunities are, which I think everybody's looking for.
Yeah. Well, I can't give you all my straight secrets. So the ones I can give. What I do is I'm the founder of Boardwalk Wealth. So we're a sector specialist, multifamily. We do developments as well as acquisitions. So acquisitions is, think about mostly 1980s, 1990s garden-style suburban development.
How big are they?
They range anywhere from 15 million to about 45 million, give or take. So we're in that range. Typical average deal size is about $30 million, give or take. But we've gone down, we've gone up as well. And developments, basically, this is all in the upper Midwest. We can get into that story as well.
Sure.
That's primarily, again, garden-style apartment complexes. But we've got a little twist to it where we've been able to reduce costs versus our next competitor by 25%. We do everything in-house. So especially in today's market, that's really pushed the needle for us.
Yeah. So you're managing in-house, you're doing construction in-house.
Construction in-house, all of that stuff. And having it being vertically integrated has really, really helped us because we're seeing a lot of developers struggle. They're struggling to get occupancy. Their costs are spiraling out of control. And we were, whether by design, good luck, or preparation, we were a little ahead of the curve. We changed the model of what we do. And that's really resulted in a lot of accretive structures that we've been able to bring to the market.
Where are you based out of?
Dallas.
Got it. And
we're all great real estate people.
Everyone's
are
out
from.
of
Come on.
Dallas. That's
Yeah, I mean,
it's Y'all Street.
I should have.
We had a whole episode where we just talked about Y'all Street. I felt like.
So you're based
they call it that, right?
Oh yeah, I know. I was at a symposium like 2 days ago, and that's what it was about.
Yeah.
Do you notice that they call it that? That happens within the Dallas bubble.
Yeah, like no one else is calling it that.
We're not calling it that.
Everyone in Dallas is like, everyone's
I don't
calling
know
it Y'all
who we
Street.
is,
No one
but
else is
we
calling
is
it Y'all
calling
Street.
it
Yeah,
y'all.
we is calling it that. So you're based out of Dallas. You're buying nationally, Midwest, Southeast?
It's primarily Sunbelt was our bread and butter. We've done a few assets acquisition-wise in the Midwest. Developments are all upper Midwest. The reason is We were selling our 70s and 80s vintage assets at the height of the market.
2022.
Yeah, like 5 or 10% below replacement costs. I mean, look, we're good. We weren't that good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but we were self-aware enough to realize this is weird. Like, why is this person paying me this much money? I'm not going to tell them, obviously.
Sure.
We're going to take all the money we can get, but we got to go play a different game.
You
now.
ever feel bad for some of those buyers?
No, I
You ever look back and say,
No, I
I wonder how they're doing?
Why would you feel bad
Why
for the
would I
buyers?
feel
Well, I'll tell you as a broker, when I sell a deal to someone.
you never
and
feel bad as a broker.
You do. You do. You go, man, I wonder how that, how they're doing on that deal. And when it doesn't work out right, you kind of, I feel bad. By the way, every deal I sell, it turns out perfect
I know that.
for buyers.
Yes.
Wow,
But
how did that happen?
just because,
Just 'cause.
it's
just
is.
because you got a black leather jacket on.
Hey, man.
Hey, I don't feel bad because nobody cries about my bad stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
That's just the way things are in life.
So people definitely overpaid in 2022
Yeah.
for sure. And you're thinking to yourself, like, what did I do right? You timed it right. You bought right.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I felt I was pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, of
and I
course.
did everything correct. And the
course.
market is only going up because of my astute buying discipline.
Right.
Short of that, though, we did feel, this is nice, but it's not that nice. We got to go find a different game.
Yeah.
So I had two partners that were from the upper Midwest. So they'd been chirping on me to look at a few places. We really started pulling a lot of hard economic data, started doing the research. And basically, that was about a year-long process through which I made myself comfortable with the idea of even going to smaller, say, secondary cities. Because, I mean, after New York or LA, gateway cities,
Sure.
we're talking Dallas as a primary city, right? Or Atlanta as a primary city. It's not necessarily the definition, but you understand what I'm saying. So it took a little while, but when we really did the hard press on the data, the analysis, that really helped us to really clarify this. And now I think, man, we dodged a bullet. Not chasing our tail with these acquisitions, just developing very stable, nice markets, and just kind of sidestepping this entire little circus that's been going on for the last 2.5, 3 years, and just kind of sidestepping that.
So I want to zoom out for a second. You're talking about tertiary cities. Dallas is primary. What's secondary market?
So
for you?
right now we're in Sioux Falls and looking at Des Moines. So that tells you,
Got it.
compared to a Dallas, how much
Sure.
the difference. Dallas is what, like 7-8 million people, the Metroplex?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Sioux Falls is about 300,000 people.
Right.
So you can see it's like, whatever, 30x, 25x less in population.
And you were talking about doing some kind of data analysis. You guys started to really look at what? Markets, demographics. What was the analysis you
So
guys did?
demographic analysis is basically around, first of all, looking at stability of jobs and unemployment trends. And this is all publicly available data.
Sure.
People can literally go to FRED, which is the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Publicly available data. You can go to all the various markets, at least the ones we were in, Texas, Georgia, Florida. We took those out, national averages out, took the Midwest averages, took a bunch of cities. Sioux Falls consistently outperformed.
I hear you on the stats. It sounds like the median income was growing. Maybe maybe there was population growth. How, aside from just the numbers, what got you comfortable with a market like Sioux Falls? You weren't from there.
Yeah.
Well, what was it about the city that once you went and saw it that got you excited?
I had two of my partners that were local. That really helped.
Okay.
So I could have done all of this stuff if my partners weren't from the area.
Got it.
A lot of this wouldn't have worked out. Man, even my wife asked, dude, what the heck is Sioux Falls? What are you talking about?
We have a lot of Sioux Falls listeners. So
You do? Good for you. All
least
5
six.
of them?
yeah.
Six.
Okay.
Yeah.
All 5. Okay, say 6 now. Well, see, there you
Six
go,
and
guys.
growing.
Yeah.
That's 20% growth.
If anyone
Whatever.
from Sioux Falls listens to this, give us a shout
Yeah,
out. That's
so-
cool.
The news is important, but if you're a busy real estate professional like me, you don't have time to skim through dozens of dry and ad-filled media outlets each day. That's why I read the CRE Daily. It's a free email newsletter that cuts through the clutter and delivers concise, witty commentary on the latest trends and transactions in commercial real estate. If you're a commercial real estate professional, you owe it to yourself to try it out and stay on top of what's happening in the industry. It's only 5 minutes a day. Visit credaily.com to sign up for free. Are you doing construction for anybody else, or
Nope.
just the money that you guys?
No, it's
manage?
for our money predominantly. We are typically the biggest investors in our own projects. And now we have funds, family offices that give us money as well.
Got it. So that was another question that we usually ask. What is your fundraising strategy, and how are you guys capitalized?
So,
and you also mentioned the two separate strategies. Are there separate buckets of capital for each
completely
strategy?
separate buckets. So we're going to get to the second strategy. So when we started off, it was high net worth accredited individuals. We still have that bucket. We have family offices, and we've got a couple of funds. Now, The reason why I have all three of these is because I had seen many of my friends or mentors that relied on one source of capital. And when that source of capital goes away, man, you're dead in the water. But when you have it, you just click a button and money shows up.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pros to that one source, one check. But I just never wanted to be in a position where I'm beholden to one pocket of capital for the rest of my life. And my entire future, the entire edifice that I can potentially build is beholden to that. So that's why we have it multiple angles. And then on the strategic opportunities, special situations fund, which we're going to get into, that is predominantly institutionals.
So you have a retail investor bucket, you have your institutional bucket.
And I have a family office bucket, yeah. I don't know. Where does family office fall?
I don't know.
Is it
When
quasi?
when you say family office, external family offices
External.
or your family
No,
office?
external.
People use that loosely sometimes, don't they? Don't you think?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you are,
I've
but
seen many $30 million.
it's a family office. Yeah, it's my uncle.
I've seen many guys
still a family
with
office.
sold a car.
Yeah.
Just put his money somewhere.
I've seen many guys with $30 million family office. I'm like, dude, that's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like,
It is a family office.
It's
They're
an
not
office.
lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
an
it's a
office.
family's
Definitely
office.
an
So
I mean, it is shocking how good some people are at raising money. They click a button and money starts falling from the sky, literally. So they are not fully equipped. And a lot of those peers we knew. Personally, we track their transactions internally, all because we're in the same submarkets.
yeah.
So we started tracking those transactions as interest rates started going up. Specific groups also we knew what they were doing, because if you don't have a fully fledged, built out property management team, asset management team, your accounting is kind of meh. It's like a bunch of crayons, right? You're going to run into trouble.
So you're following actual groups
Oh, yeah.
and you're just staying on top of them.
Yeah, because
And-
these are people we know in the market.
Yeah.
We know what their teams are like.
Yeah.
We know what markets they're bought in. We know what types of assets they bought at. We know what type of capitalization they've had.
Right.
So
right.
the deals that you're going after, what's plaguing them? What's making
It's just
the
they are
distress?
great assets. The assets fundamentally are not impaired. They have just, unfortunately, like a lot of people, in lots of situations, the capitalization structure on it does not support the fundamentals of the asset.
Is it usually too much debt?
It's too much debt that's floating with the fact that a borrower has zero to no liquidity right now. And to be starting off with, they had no balance sheet to begin with.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for, guys just getting into the business right now, trying to do what you're doing?
Yeah, this is the best time to get into the business.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because think about it this way. Everyone's going to be judged on their track record, right? Don't make the mistake I did and enter mid-cycle. We got a great track record, but if I started off 6 years earlier, man, I'd be even crushing it more. We've done about $750 million in transactions. I'd be close to $2 billion if I started just 5 years earlier.
So you think this is the beginning of
another cycle, another
although it's
uptrend.
not super linear. Generally,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I saw KKR today say that one of their biggest concerns, they're now believers in the real estate market again. They're on a claim to be on a buying spree, or they're entering a buying sprees. And we've referenced that a couple of times, but they said that one of the biggest risks that they're taking or they're being cognizant of is not entering too late.
It's an aberration for a moment in time. You got to capitalize on it. And then, then you get mid-cycle, right? And then there's going to be another cycle. There's going to be another down. And this whole thing repeats itself over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about I want to go back to the beginning of this. Talk about your start for a second. When you were chasing your first few properties, how were you convincing someone to give you money at that time?
Oh, man. I can tell you this, number one. I was very lucky going to good schools, developing good networks. Just there was no intention of raising money. You go to good schools, you work in good places, your natural network.
Where'd you go to school?
University of Toronto.
Okay.
Worked at RBC, worked in Mackenzie, and then what's the other
Yeah.
place?
Is it worth it? What do you think?
Is it
College,
worth-
is it worth it or not?
Oh, definitely.
It's a
worth it.
hot
Look,
topic these days. I don't know.
Hey, look, the caveat I gave over here is I didn't have student debt. I was very privileged and lucky that my parents paid for it. So
That's
I'm in a
fair.
very different position at that stage, right?
You're
And
right.
that's not because of my intelligence. It's just right circumstances, right place, right time sort of thing. So I am not the best person to comment on that, because you would have to have somebody with student debt
Right.
to really comment on that with any sort of like depth.
Yeah.
I'm not the right
That's
person
honest.
to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that. Yeah.
No, I love that answer.
Yeah.
It's a very real answer. It's something that
But it's a big problem.
it's a
It
huge
is a big
problem,
problem.
and it's one that most Americans in particular, you come out of high school and you almost inherently have student debt. it's the expectation of your parents that
I
you go to
also
college.
think
and
the system
it's
is
not
set up-
without a real
the-
financial plan.
I think the system is very corrupt in the sense, not about the student debt part, because this is my opinion, it's the only debt apparently that can't be discharged in bankruptcy. This is purely corporate cronyism at its best. This should be no different than any other debt because there is a government backstop here legally. That's why this student debt is spiraling out of control. If you could discharge this debt in a bankruptcy, I am willing to bet a lot of this BS around all the student debt is going to go away, because now the lender giving you whatever $300,000 on a medieval studies degree or a bachelor's
taking a risk.
degree,
Yeah.
right, is now taking a risk, and they're probably not going to do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
What's wrong with a medieval
well,
studies degree?
if you like being
I
broke,
was a mid. No,
if you like being broke, it's a great degree.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Omar, thanks for coming on. Thanks for trekking to New York.
Yeah.
Seriously, thanks
good to
for
hear your
making the
background.
time to hang out with us.
No, I appreciate it, and hopefully the next time you guys have a studio in the Upper East Side or somewhere, and we go somewhere cooler.
Yeah. What? This is so.
This is the coolest part of town.
dude. This is like.
Well, I'd
Don't,
like to
quote,
have-
don't
city.
quote me on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't quote me.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Omar.
Awesome. Thank
All
you
right.
guys. Really
Awesome.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Great.